This is Inside Troy Athletics, a look at what's going on and what's coming up for Troy University's Trojans. Now, here's your host for Inside Troy Athletics, Jonathan Sellers.
Hello and welcome to Inside Troy Athletics. I'm your host, Jonathan Sellers, and I'm joined today by the director of Troy Athletics, and that's Jeremy McLean. And Jeremy, it's been a week or so since I got to see you due to the hurricane that came through, but I'm glad that we're back here and talking Troy sports.
Yeah, I'm always glad to be here visiting with you and always want to talk Troy sports.
Well, we haven't got to talk about a couple of Troy victories, and the game against Alabama State was a great win, a great crowd, a lot of excitement around that one. And then this past weekend, another big win, a win to start conference play against New Mexico State. I know a lot of people saw the scores from the past couple of years and said, well, what happened this year? But obviously not the same New Mexico State team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Starting back with Alabama State, we're very pleased, excited with the way that game went, not just the score on the field, but the crowd. You know, we obviously set a record from an attendance standpoint. We just the whole day was a success. It was a great day in a lot of ways. There are plenty of things we still need to improve on, and as we always do, we're kind of self-evaluating and trying to make sure that that we get those things right. You know, our objective is to make sure that everyone has a positive experience when they're in the stadium and around the stadium. So we're going to continue to try to do that. But really excited about the way that first home game turned out, and then traveling to New Mexico State. Tough trip. You go out west. It's a long flight. It's a little bit of a difficult travel process. You stay in El Paso, then you drive up to Las Cruces. But we knew we were facing a really good team there, and I think if you heard the coaches talk at all during the week, they told everybody over and over how good they were offensively. And you referenced the last couple of years, the scores have been a little lopsided. But if you go and look at the stats, the offensive numbers for them over the past couple of years, they've been really good. Turnovers really have what kind of flipped those games the last couple of years. And so we knew what we were up against offensively, and you know, all that combined, feel we're very happy and feel fortunate to get out of there with a conference win, 1-0 in the Sun Belt Conference, and that's the objective. As Coach Brown has said all year, you know, our eyes are focused on that conference championship, and it's probably not a possibility if you don't go out there and get that first victory. And so excited about that. It was a good win against a really good team on the road, and you know, continue to see improvement across the board from a team perspective.
Well, got a few weeks off of conference play, but right back in out of conference schedule with a home game this week against Akron, and it's a big one. It's a military appreciation game, but also just hoping for a big crowd as well.
Yeah, we really feel like we're going to have a great crowd. We've got a lot of things happening around this game, including military appreciation. We've got some fun, exciting things that are happening before the games when everybody get in there early. But we really expect to be up against, you know, a full stadium again. We really think it's going to be a great crowd, and so we're excited about that opportunity to play a really good Akron team, and a team led by, you know, a Bowden, and obviously Terry's been head coach at Auburn and Samford, and now he's
a lot of history in the state.
Exactly, a lot of connections to the state of Alabama. And now he's bringing his Akron team down here, so a lot of kind of a backstory or a different storyline for that game. But they'll be prepared, and as a coaching staff, they do an excellent job. So it'll be another really good challenge for us.
And the week after that, Troy will face LSU. That game time was announced just the other day, a 6 o'clock kick.
Right, 6 o'clock kick in Baton Rouge, and you know, they play most of their games at night, and we know that's an amazing environment at night down there. So it'll be a real challenge, not only on the field. Obviously, they've got a great program, but it'll be a really exciting, challenging environment there in Tiger Stadium.
Some of the other teams were getting their conference schedule started. The soccer team got to play their first conference game. They won their first one, ended up losing their second one as they had to take a long trip on Sunday.
Yeah, I think talked to Coach O'Connor. He's, you know, I think really happy with the way they played Friday against Monroe and got the home victory, and then traveled to Arkansas State and got beat. And you know, I think he was really happy with one half of that game and the other half not as much. But yeah, I think a sign of a young team and a team that's still kind of coming together. A little bit of inconsistency, but a lot of positives there, and a lot of things to build on, I think, as they continue to try to improve. And one thing's for certain, they have worked really hard, and I think some of that's starting to show. And so we're excited about the conference play for them and the opportunities for them to keep getting better.
Same thing with the volleyball team. They are actually wrapped up their tournament schedule up at Alabama, but they will start conference play this week.
Yeah, now it's kind of the real season, if you will, in a lot of ways. I think from a coach speak perspective, you play the non-conference and it's important, but once you get into conference play is really where you hope to kind of start peaking and be at your best. And so great opportunity for Josh and his team to, and they've shown flashes of really improving and competed against some really good clubs. And so a great opportunity there to go into conference play and hopefully set the tone and have a really good next month and a half.
We also had the introduction of a new coach to the program, and that's the new women's golf coach, Randy Keck, and we'll actually speak to him later on in this show. But they competed right after he started. They went right into competing down at Mobile over the weekend. Yeah,
we gave him a great challenge. Show up on week 1 and go take the team to a tournament.
Get after it.
Excited to have Randy. He's got a great track record. He was head coach at Tulsa, obviously, for many years and took the program there to several regionals and an NCAA championship and won a NCAA championship. A national championship at a junior college, and so he's got a great tradition of success. I think a really good fit here at Troy. People will enjoy being around him. He's going to be a great leader for that program, and we're excited that he's a part of our family.
Well, I know there's a lot else going on this weekend. Anything else you want to touch on?
No, I think, I would encourage everybody, challenge everybody to come out and support what we're trying to do. This weekend will be focused on football, but there's plenty of opportunities throughout the year, whether it be soccer or volleyball, as we get into basketball and some other sports, to come watch some really good programs compete. And so, I ask folks just to continue to support what we're trying to do.
Game time for this Saturday is 5 o'clock, same as the first weekend, so all the other things will kind of fall in line with that. Same time for Trojan Walk. 2:45 and everything else. So I hope to see everybody out there and have another great crowd.
We look forward to it.
All right, thank you. And join us for more coming up here on Inside Troy Athletics. And welcome back to Inside Troy Athletics, and we're here with the new coach of the women's golf program, and that's Coach Randy Keck. And Coach, welcome to Troy.
Thanks, Jonathan.
And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a small town guy from Oklahoma. Grew up playing golf at an early age in a small town, and played all the other sports, but golf just seemed to kind of be the predominant one that I was excelled. And my family all plays, and so we're kind of a golf family. And grew up in Central Oklahoma, played a lot of golf, and played my college golf at the University of Central Oklahoma, and played professionally for several years after that, and got into became a head coach, and just was fortunate enough to be on the women's side of college golf and had a little success, and feel fortunate to be at Troy.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got here and you got into things right away. Not much of a walk-in time or work-in time. That you had a tournament just this past weekend after being named the program leader just a week or so ago. Yeah. Y'all were down in Mobile last weekend, yep. And how'd that tournament go for you?
We played well. It was very interesting. I'd been on the job about 4 days, and we left for a tournament, and I talked to my brother on the phone, and he was kind of laughing. He was like, "Hey, do the players even know your name yet?" So we had a little fun with that on the golf course. But I was very proud of our team. We graduated a couple of superstars last year, and these young ladies know that they really had to step up, and they knew they were going to have to step up, and they competed well. We have a lot of work to do, and they understand that, but we were very proud of them. I was very proud.
Well, and also being able to see them kind of compete right away gives you a different perspective. A lot of coaches just get to see a lot of practice, and getting to see them compete against other schools, other competitors had to be an advantage for you.
Yeah, it really was. We had a couple of good surprises. We have a junior college transfer, Sarah Hutchison, Sarah Harrison. I'm sorry, Sarah Harrison. I'm still learning their names too. But she surprised us. She played very, very well, and she had seemed a little uncomfortable all week in practice, so I didn't know what to expect, and it was a great surprise. She played some great golf, and we've got a nice new freshman that really stepped up, and it was fun to get to see them compete and kind of see where their mind was, and it was easy for me as well after the tournament to be able to point out some things that we really have to work on, and it was a situation where it was right in front of us. We played a tournament. We evaluated quickly. I sat down with them nightly after our rounds and talked about the things that we needed to improve on. Yeah, it was great.
Well, now that you have seen that and got maybe a week or so before your next tournament, what do you plan on working on? What do you want to do with your team?
We need to spend a lot of time working on our fitness level. I'm just going to be honest with you. We're not fit enough. We're not strong enough. The heat was hard on us this week. We're going to spend a lot of time working on fitness, but then skill set stuff. We have some wedge work to work on. We have a lot of putting drills to do. Speed of the greens hurt us this week. The greens were really quick, and we seem to struggle a little bit. So we're going to do a lot of speed putting this week. Yeah.
All right. Now, what do you have the rest of this fall?
We leave for Mississippi State's hosting a tournament 1st of October. Okay. So we have a couple of weeks to prepare. I'm excited about that. We needed a couple of weeks to practice, just to kind of get to know each other, work on golf swing stuff. We need to work on a little bit of equipment. We need to change some equipment. We need to do a little bit of putter changes, and yeah, we just have some things to get ready before we leave in 1st of October.
All right, Coach. Well, it's glad to have you here at Troy, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thanks, Jonathan. It's good to be here.
All right, stay tuned for more coming up on Inside Troy Athletics. And welcome back to Inside Troy Athletics, and we're here with the Director of Player Development for the football team, and that's Jamal Smith, and most of you may know him as Smooth with the football team, but Jamal, thank you for joining us here today.
No problem, no problem.
Now, you've been around this program for a long time. You were a player back in
2001.
2001 all the way up. When did you finish your career?
Well, my last year playing was the 04-05 season. Okay. I finished playing then, and I went home for about 6 months, kind of worked in high school, and came back 2006, and been here since
never
then.
Left.
Yeah.
Now, you are the Director of Player Development now. What all does your role entail?
Well, I basically kind of keep all our guys in line, you know. Sometimes they'll tell me stuff that they won't tell the coaches, and I kind of basically direct communication between them and the coach. If it's a problem, you know, I kind of figure out a way to kind of get it over to tell their position coach, kind of handle all our kind of liaison with academics, you know, compliance stuff. You know, it's basically a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. I mean.
So is it a lot of, you have to develop a relationship with a lot of these players right away when they get here?
Oh, yeah, especially, you know, like when they come on recruiting visits and once they get here, I kind of help them. I'm probably one of the first ones they meet, either Brian Bennett or myself, one of the first ones they meet. I'm helping them get in school. They have a problem with the application, financial aid stuff. So I know a lot of their parents, mother, father, grandmothers, aunts, cousins, so.
Got all their numbers in case you got to make a call.
I might as well be a part of their family.
But I mean, that's an important relationship in these days, especially with so much going on. You got academics, you've got their personal lives, all this, and football. I mean, they've got a lot to handle, and it's good to have a person for them to go to.
Yeah. No, I listen to them talk. They may have, especially like some of the freshmen, it's their first time away from home, and they'll get homesick. So, you know, they kind of come in my office and kind of hash it out. I ask them how they feeling, how they doing, you know, how's school going, how's your family at home. So
now, game days, your role changes a little bit. People may see you on the sideline. You've got a special role. What do you do on game days?
Well, one is, as long as Coach Brown don't get a flag that day, I think I had a pretty good day.
You did your job.
Yeah.
So you're Coach Brown's get back coach.
Yeah. I kind of keep them off the field and make sure our guys are staying in tune to the game, you know, making sure they ain't lost. It's kind of the same thing when, as my day-to-day functions, you know, making sure they okay, they got everything they need to be successful when they playing.
Now, so far, a pretty good start to the year. I know the Boise loss was a tough one, but since then, come back with a couple of good wins. New Mexico State was a solid win going out there. I know a lot of people may have seen the past couple of scores and thought this was a game we should run away with, but obviously a much better New Mexico State team.
Well, they've always been pretty good. Right. You know, last couple of times we just jumped out on them, and we knew going into this game they was a pretty good team, especially having to play them on the road at home, and that was their first home game. So we came out, the guys played hard, and we came out with a win.
Now, this week back in out-of-conference play against Akron, a lot of people are familiar with their head coach, Terry Bowden. He's been around the state of Alabama for a long time. Even coached a camp here for a long time, the Bowden family did. What do you know about that Akron team?
Oh, they're going to be very well coached. Like you said, Terry Bowden has been around for a long time, because that's the first thing you notice about them when you cut on the tape. They're a very well coached football team. They're going to have some players, and just like any other game, man, we're going to have to come out and play. So.
All right, Jamal, well, thank you for joining us today, and nice to learn a little bit about what you do.
No problem.
All right, stay tuned for more coming up on Inside Troy Athletics. And welcome back to our final segment here on Inside Troy Athletics. And I'm here with Brent Jones, who is the Deputy AD for External Operations for the athletic department. And Brent, we talked to Jeremy earlier about kind of the overview of what's coming up, but you can give us the nitty-gritty of the details of everything. I know Saturday is a big game against Akron, 5 o'clock kick. It's the military appreciation game, which is always a big one here. Troy has a great relationship with the military, and I know y'all are doing y'all's best to kind of honor that on Saturday.
Well, when we first came, I've only been here 7 months now. One of the first things that I found out was how ingrained the military is in Troy University, as well as the annual Military Appreciation Day. Right. So to be able to have an amazing foundation that's already been set, to have thousands of soldiers that will be in attendance is just phenomenal. Right. And so we've added a few different elements. So this will be the second straight year that we've had an enlistment service, or ceremony pregame, I should say. We'll also have a flyover, 2 F-16s coming from Maxwell up in Montgomery. And then something.
That's the real deal.
That's the real deal. So I've heard in the past, you know, hey, what are we having? And so we are having 2 F-16s flyovers. And again, we could not get all these things done if it wasn't through the support of the university. Right. And so Major General Gavan was extremely supportive of this and appreciate all the work that he's done, as well as for Troy for Troops. But then also we're going to roll out something that's never been seen before at Troy. I've never been part of it, so I'm really excited. I've been in college athletics now 15 years. We're going to have a huge American flag cover the entire length of the football field. So 100 yards. And it's going to be by the Maxwell Air Force Base is going to actually be holding it. So we've gone through 3 or 4 different practices. We will before Saturday, but that's all going to happen pregame. So we're asking all of our fans to make sure they're in the stands by 4:30 to see the flyover, to actually see the enlistment ceremony, and then also to be able to see the giant flag across it. But it doesn't just stop there, because during the game, in between the first and second quarter, which is going to be a highlight of the day, we're actually going to have Sound of the South. We'll be performing the 5 different branches' service songs, and that's just going to be great. We're going to be honoring numerous different people, Troy for Troops, Congressman Johnson as well, and so it's just going to be a really, really special day, and so it's jam-packed with it. So it's Military Appreciation Day, but it's also Sound of the South, High School Band Day.
Right,
so
which is always a huge attendance.
Absolutely. We're going to have thousands of high school band performers performing with Sound of the South at halftime. Well, it's Boy Scouts Day, so they're actually going to be camping out on campus for 2 days, which is going to be really exciting. We'll be honoring and recognizing the Special Olympics during this game. Extra Yard for Teachers, which is a college football initiative where you're really trying to give back and make the connection between football and academics and education, and really uplifting those. So it's going to be an amazing crowd. It's going to be a great day. It was my first experience I guess it was 2 Saturdays ago, to really experience Tailgate Terrace and the Trojan Walk. And there's a few other things that we have going on. The team will actually come out onto the field with an American flag. They'll run out, as well as with the 5 services branch flag. So that's going to be pretty spectacular. And then to start Trojan Walk, we're going to have a representative of each military branch in full uniform lead the team down it for all of our fans. So it's going to be a very, very special day.
I get chills just talking about it. All those kind of military things just always get to me. You mentioned that the Sound of the South will be playing the songs of each branch of the military. Normally at halftime of the Military Appreciation Game, they would do that. But we're having to change things just a little bit this year because of the construction, right?
Right. It's because of the construction, and then because we have 3 Saturdays. So, well, with only 3 Saturdays, we have a nationally televised game versus South Al on Wednesday, and then also a nationally televised game versus Idaho. And so because of that, it really jam-packs all your promotions together, which as a marketer, an external person, I love. And so, but because of that, we had to sort of navigate, how do we want to do this? And so I can't say enough. Again, we talked about the university administration, but the Sound of the South as well. And so what they're going to do is they're actually minimizing a little bit of what they're going to do pregame and build that all to the military. And then in between the first and second quarter, we'll do this as well. And then at halftime, we'll be able to have 2,000 high school as well as Sound of the South members out there performing. And so it's going to be a little bit different, but I think it's going to be absolutely amazing.
It'll still be a great tribute.
Absolutely.
You mentioned the flag. I know you talked about it being 100 yards. That is big. I mean, it's the full length of the field. That is something you normally see. I think about the Thanksgiving Day games where you see it on NBC or on Fox and things like that. People just need to come out there just to see how impressive that is when they're going to be waving, and I'm sure.
So there's a joke in college athletics that there's only like 5 of these flags around, and you just rent them. You don't own them, and they just sort of go around the country. And so this is a bowl game atmosphere. This is a Super Bowl type of deal, and so that's what we wanted to do to highlight this game, to highlight Troy University with the appreciation of the military, and to really make that connection. I think our fans have stepped up. We talked about the record-breaking crowd you and Jeremy did, and so we're gunning for that every time now. And so I think it's going to be a great day. But again, we're really stressing to our fans, there's a lot of things going on pregame as well. So make sure you get into the stands. Kickoff's at 5, but try to get into the stands by 4:30 to see a lot of these activities.
And go ahead and get there 2:45 for Trojan Walk. Last Trojan Walk at Alabama State was amazing. A huge crowd for that one. I know probably a great experience for the players, but as you said, there will be a member of each branch leading them out through the Trojan Walk, so that'll be great to see. What other promotions do we have on, maybe not for football, or what other games do we have coming up here at the university?
So obviously soccer and volleyball are in mid-season. We set the second highest attendance for soccer with their first opening game, and so that's always on it. Volleyball is doing phenomenal. If you haven't been to Trojan Arena, you're missing probably one of the greatest college basketball and volleyball arenas out there. It is an amazing atmosphere. We have 2 first-year coaches who are doing a really good job. So, and the great thing about it is it's so family-oriented. It's free admission for both, for soccer and for volleyball. And not to be outdone, but basketball's creeping up on us pretty quick. It's about a month and a half away, and so we're working on Trojan Madness. Hopefully we'll have some details in the next week or so that we can launch and let everybody know. But yes, it never ends, it never stops, and that's what gets us excited.
Well, and both of those basketball teams that went to the NCAA tournament last year, won their Sun Belt Conference tournament, so you got to come out and watch them this year.
Absolutely. Amazing a venue, as well as 2 championship teams that are going to defend their title. What gets better than that?
I know football, they won't be home again until October the 11th. Is that correct?
Correct.
October the 11th is a big game, though. That's
national TV versus South Alabama. We know what we did down there last year at LAD, where we brought almost 20-something buses and 3,000 fans. I'm sure they're going to want to return the favor and bring a lot of their fans up. Something that's going to be really special is at halftime, both bands are going to perform together. You don't see that a lot across it, and so that just shows, again, there's a lot of rivalry, but there's also a lot of respect and love there. And so it's going to be a nationally televised game. We're going to be rolling out some different initiatives for that game, but we expect it to be a great crowd and a great game.
So any teases on promotions, or we're going to hold off until after?
We're going to hold off on that one, and then I'll come back, and after we talk about that, we'll talk about the Idaho game on Thursday night on national TV too, because we have, if you think this game's a lot of promotions, we're going to double it for the Idaho game.
All right. Well, I know a lot to look forward to this Saturday, starting at 2:45 really for Trojan Walk, and then just go ahead and stay around Tailgate Terrace until about 4 o'clock, and then head into the stadium.
Absolutely, and talk about some of the best tailgating around. I mean, Troy University knows how to do it.
That's it. Amen. It was great. All right, well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And join us again next week for more here on Inside Troy Athletics.